So yesterday I told a story about how I got bullied when I was 10 years old in fifth grade and how I dealt with it. And I didn't get bullied anymore. Fifth grade, sixth grade. This particular person never looked my way again, never punked my friends again, never bullied my friends. Matter of fact, I don't think he bullied anybody else after that. I don't know if his family, his parents gave him a good talking to or whatever. I don't know, but never bullied again. And that was amazing that just kind of went away. But I encountered a different bully when I entered into seventh and eighth grade. That's when I first got introduced into gang life. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, for those that don't know. And I first got introduced into gang life because the school had this gang called ASL. I forget what the A and the L meant, but the middle letter S standard for skinhead, right? And it's interesting because they would allow like Mexican Americans or anybody that had a little bit of white in them to join that gang, except for black people. But anyway, they would allow that to happen. And so anytime I would encounter any of them in class or anything like that, they would always, you know what I'm saying, like try to bully me. And I knew I didn't really know what gang culture was, but I just knew that there was no way that I could deal with this bully the way I did the last bully, right? The last bully was just one person. And so now I'm dealing with, there were like 20, 30 members in this one school, right? And so I knew that I couldn't beat all of them up. And so there were plenty of times where, yeah, you got made fun of and stuff like that. I could deal with that, right? But the part that I couldn't deal with was where, they were trying to beat me up. And I remember this one particular incident where I was in the bathroom and I saw one come in. And as soon as I saw one come in and the other one was by the door, I was like, no, absolutely not, right? And so I ran out and luckily there was a teacher nearby. And so avoided that situation that day. However, one particular experience stands out to me is when I was in class. Of course, the teacher was not looking at the time that this happened, but one student that was sitting right across from me went to the pencil sharpener, sharpened his pencil, and was like, I'm going to stab you in the head with this. And by that time, you know what I'm saying, they've said particular threats, but never threatened my life. And I think part of the reason that I got really, really upset and mad, and I knew it was time that, like it was about to go down, right? Was when he threatened my life, because at that point in time in my life, I was scared of death. And so I was more scared of death than I was of these people, all 20, 30 of them at the time, right? And so I was like, absolutely not. I got to do something, right? And like I said in the last video, I didn't have anyone that I felt like I could talk to about it. I've tried to tell the teachers about the stuff, and they would kind of just blow it off and just pay attention to, just do your work and stuff like that. But I remember that right after that, the bell rang, and I saw a bunch of them like all like huddled up together, right in the direction that I had to go. Right. And so I don't know why I just kept on walking, because I was like, well, the office is nearby. If they try to do anything, you know what I'm saying, like there's going to be some teachers out there. But there were no teachers out there at that particular moment. I don't know where they were. But these guys, as soon as I started walking, they started walking towards me. And I saw the dude that said he was going to, stick that pencil in my head coming behind me. And the lights just went off. I knew I had to do something. And so I rushed the guy with the pencil. And as soon as I did that, like 4 or 5 of them jumped on top of me. And the next thing I knew, those guys were on the floor. And the principal came up and grabbed me up and took me into his office. Crazy part about all of that is I'm the one that got suspended. Actually, I didn't get suspended. I got kicked out of the school. I got kicked out of the school. Never once before had any incident where I was the one. And matter of fact, I wasn't the one that started this, right? It was crazy how sometimes justice is not served, right? We can do all that we can sometimes, and to take the higher road, and yet and still bad stuff happens. There's no justice, So I got kicked out of the school, and I remember my mom picking me up, saying, like, she didn't understand, right? So she was just like, how can you do this? Like, what's going on? And she just didn't really understand what I was going through at the time. Anyways, I ended up going to a different school, and crazy part, yeah, there were gangs. There was one particular gang at this school, but they were very accepting of me. You know what I'm saying? They were very, and I'm not saying that you should join a gang or the gangs are cool, but they were accepting of me. I didn't have any problems. There was no bullying. There was none of that, right? Matter of fact, I excelled there. I did, you know what I'm saying? I made some friends, et cetera, and things were good. And the reason I'm mentioning this story is because I think there's some lessons in it, right? Like, sometimes where justice should be served, it's not. And we can walk away not understanding, you know what I'm saying? Like, God, why did you allow that to happen? I just don't understand why such and such is happening, or why that happened, right? But here's the thing, like, and I'm not saying this justifies anything, right? But when I got kicked out of that school, I ended up going to a different school where I didn't have the distractions that I had, and I was able to get my work done. I don't know why God allowed that to happen, or why that principal kicked me out. I don't know if one of the kids was his kid. I don't know what the deal was, but I know that it was an injustice. Not only did it look bad on my part, because I had, I was trying to survive. But it looked bad because I'm the one that got kicked out. And I don't know what happened to the other kids. I don't think they got kicked out. But I did. I feel like to this day, like, that was an injustice. That should have been dealt with differently. But at the same time, like, I went into a whole better situation. And, I thank God that I went through that, and then he got me through it, and that nobody got hurt or killed in that situation. And it's hard to conceive that, right? Like, it's hard to understand or to even get it through our head that there's 7-8-year-olds that are really trying to kill other people. Well, not 7-8 graders that are really out there trying to kill other people, right? You hear about it, but when you live it, it's like, it's so weird. And at that time, I didn't really have a concept on what death was or any of that stuff, right? But it's crazy. It's crazy. Sometimes justice won't be served, but God is still on the throne. God is still in this thing. I don't know, what less, or what thing that you're going through in this life where you might feel like you're not getting justice, right? Or maybe God is just trying to move you into a new space. Maybe God is trying to get you into a better situation, a situation where you're going to excel, when you don't have the distractions that you currently have. Give your life to him. Trust him through the process. It might get ugly, but it's going to be beautiful on the other side. God bless.